Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to our BKFC Reddit Ask Me Anything. We're joined by the official photographer for BKFC, Nick Vespe. How you doing, sir?
What's up, man? I'm good. I'm very good. Relaxing day, so I'm good.
You know, you're a guy who's always behind the camera. I thought it was time that we got you in front of the camera. Like, what is it like? You take so many amazing photos, and I feel like yes, you do get your flowers, but also like I feel like you're also kind of an unknown, and I feel like we need to kind of highlight you.
Yeah, I mean that's cool. I like being an unknown. I like being a fly on the wall. That's how it should be. The content team, we take pride in like we go in, we do so good with such a small crew, and then we get out and like nobody fucking knows we were even there. We don't interrupt. We do our job so good, and we've been like the same crew of guys mainly, and it's awesome. So we have a good team. So we like being unknown.
It's fun to get to hang out with you guys though at the hotels because you guys, like you like talk a little bit. Like it, if I was to look at you, Dick, oh, he's a very stoic guy, and you are, but also like behind the scenes, you're really funny and you're just a sweet guy.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Not everybody gets to see like, the inside, but I'll get open with people when I'm friendly with them, so. And we're like again, everybody at BKFC, like we're all like goofy, fun people, like all of us who work there. So we all have like our little side, our little weird side.
Can you tell us how you became the photographer for BKFC? I know it's you and Phil and was it Dalton? Like, there's three of you, or is there more than that?
No. So there's me, Phil, who's been there since day one, and Lee Cooper. He's in the
Sure.
UK.
Yeah.
So Lee will come over and help me if Phil can't. But I mainly do all the shows. James Dalton, he's a videographer and editor. So he shoots for the nerds out there, 24 frames per second of like natural fight motion. And then we have Brandon who shoots the slow-mo. He shoots fast it's like, the camera's in a faster speed at 120 frames per second, and he shoots like slow-mo. So all like the epic slow-mo angles you see on like Instagram or highlights or anything like that, Brandon shoots that. Then our leader, Evan, of course, Evan Zentar, Lord Zentar, commander in charge. And then we have Justin now as well. And Justin, he'll help assist like different angles on fight nights. He does a lot of editing. He's been helping do interviews and breakdowns and setups and all sorts of stuff. Cause like, I mean, we really have a small crew though. But yeah, so it's just me, Phil, and Lee who will ever shoot photos at
Okay.
this point, unless one of us kicks the bucket. And in the beginning, my first event was BKFC 21. So that was Richmond versus Cochrane in Nebraska. And prior to that, I was doing stamped concrete and like surface restoration with sandblasting and working at a camera store. And that was through like COVID. And during like right before COVID, I was working with CFFC. It's like a regional MMA promotion. And I worked there, and so did Evan.
Okay.
And me and Evan worked a lot, and I worked there for like 2 years. And I mean, these are just like whenever regional MMA gigs popped up on the weekend. And so it wasn't anything like super serious, but it was freelance, and it was my first like consistent like long thing, and what got me to CFFC actually. So I used to train jujitsu, right like after high school. I started getting interested in it, and then I trained for quite a bit into my 20s, and I had like stopped skateboarding completely, went all in on jujitsu, and then I hurt my leg skating. It was like a catastrophic knee injury, like terrible. Everything you could tear in your left leg, I tore. And that got put back together. I tore my ACL in my right leg, and I tore my labrum in my shoulder, and then retore it actually when I went back to doing this like manual labor job. So I had a few surgeries, and I had a camera that was like a piece of shit, and I'd borrow lenses from a friend. Like I wasn't even caring about taking photos at this point. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'll just bring it to jujitsu, and I'll bring it to practice and see how that goes. So I started shooting at the gym. Then it turned into guys doing grappling matches. Then it turned to guys doing regional fights, amateur fights. Then Jonathan Webb, he was in the UFC. He was like my first real coach in jujitsu, and he ended up going to the UFC, and then he was trying to work his way back because he had 2 losses. So he was working his way back to the UFC, and he went to CFFC again. And I started documenting him. I was hurt. I couldn't train. So I started documenting my coach, hoping he's going to get to the UFC again. And I talked to Evan like prior to working there, and he got me like, to shoot some photos there that night. And they're like, oh, we got to have you back. These are awesome. So they kind of just like went from there. And then I worked there for like 2 years. And then COVID hit and everything shut down like completely. And right before COVID hit, that's actually when Evan left and went to BKFC. And so COVID hit, everything was kind of dying, and BKFC was like the first thing to like come alive again, if you remember that.
I do.
So it was like the first thing to come alive again. It was like so exciting and everything. And Phil was doing all the shows up until then. And Phil had a normal job where, because Phil is a good hardworking man, makes good money, and he's got a family, and he lives in beautiful Colorado. So he had to go out there and take care of business, and him and Evan talked, and they just brought me on, and they threw me right into BKFC 21. Nobody told me what to do. I just brought a backdrop, my lights, all the stuff for studio day. There was no rhyme or reason, anything. And, this is still fairly early in BKFC, in terms of it now. And so nothing, there wasn't a lot of structure to things. I didn't know what was actually happening. And I just went with it. And that event was awesome. It introduced me to BKFC like perfectly. There was all fights were finishes.
Sure.
It was a super quick night. And I couldn't believe how quick it was. And I remember Evan was like, don't get used to this, man. Like, he's like, it's not like this. And I was like, all right, all right. I was like, well, that was fun. Because Richmond became my favorite BKFC fighter, like, immediately. Like, he embodied what BKFC was. And he was the first guy to actually show up to the studios. Usually, the main event guys wander in whenever they want, Mike Richmond was the first one there. First guy I ever shot at BKFC, pointed a camera at BKFC. And he left like such a good impression on me. And then watching him fight like masterfully against Dakota, it just like, I was like, damn, I'm a fan. So that was like a really cool experience. And then after that, I did a few more on my own. I did like, the early New York show, that first New York show, that one was on my own. There was a few right at the beginning. Then there was like 2 events I didn't go to. They just didn't have me on. They didn't need me. Phil was doing them. And then Knucklemania 2 is like where it kind of sealed the deal. Mike Perry spitting blood. I
Right.
remember Evan was like, he asked if anybody saw that. And I was like, I got a photo, bro. And he was like, all right, send it now. And he put it up. And like, then they had the podcast the week after. And I remember Social was like, I think his name's Nick Vespe. Yeah, he shot an awesome photo of Mike Perry. And then Evan was like, yeah, welcome to the company, bro. And I've been doing them all since. So
I think
long story.
the photo behind me of Mike spitting the blood is great, and then I also really like that photo you took of I believe it's Austin Trout punching Diego and just blood splattering everywhere.
That's Phil.
Oh, well, those are my 2 favorite photos of BKFC.
That's definitely like, that's the like I have Mike and he has that photo. That's like the gnarliest ones. He also has some really good photos that are like iconic from Loboff versus Knight. Like he has crazy ones because it was just so bloody. Like they couldn't even use a lot of the pictures I remember because they were just like, it's too much to send out into the media. And like he had awesome like bloody knuckle photos of like the hands on the ropes and a bunch of stuff. So Phil definitely had like some iconics too. Yeah.
You have a really cool roommate now, but like before you and Taylor got together, you've had the who's who of like fighter roommates. Like how did you luck into that?
Well, I didn't. The only person I really like stayed with long term was like Dominic Cruz.
Right.
In terms of fighters, but Corey Anderson, he lived really close by to me, and we became best of friends. He's one of my best friends. He means a lot to me. So Corey, like, he kind of opened that first, I think. I was at CFFC actually shooting, and I saw Corey in the corner of this heavyweight, Sean Teed, and I pointed my camera over and I saw Corey coach and I took a photo of him. And then Corey just started staring at me after. And I was like, oh shit. Like, I wonder if I pissed him off. I was like, I always loved watching him fight and stuff. And I knew he was, out of Jersey. And, I studied, like, I rubbed him the wrong way. And then after the fights were over, he came over to me and he's like, yo, he's like, your camera, like, I think I have the same one as you. He's like, I've been trying to use it to document my hunting and outdoors stuff. He's like, I don't really get what I'm doing wrong. He's like, I'm having some issues. Like, here's my number. He's like, talk to me like about the camera stuff. He's like, I could use some help. And I was like, all right. So I texted him that night. He was like, why don't you come over and show me? So I just drove to his house and I was showing him how to use his camera, and then slowly, like, he introduced me to his family. He just had his first kid who was a baby, CJ. He was a little baby, and he welcomed me into his family. And then I would shoot everything from all of his training, video, photo, to his hunting. I'd go on hunting trips with him. We've gone all over the country and done cool stuff like that. He does a lot of outdoors and hunting, like outside publicity stuff, and we document a lot of that. So Corey's been like such a good guy to me, and he opened up like the idea that you can do this like full time. Like he was my full time. I was doing all my other jobs, but like Corey made sure I had enough work that I was like filled. Like anytime he could book me, he booked me. And he's the one who actually encouraged me to quit my jobs and do this full time. He called me one day and he just laid into me for like an hour. He was like, "Bro, you're so stupid not to be taking yourself up on this stuff." He's like, "Look, Bare Knuckle wants you." He's like, "I want you." He's like, "You don't need to work at these places, man." Like he's like, "You're way too talented." And I was like, sure. And I quit my job 2 weeks later, like put in my 2 weeks, and 2 weeks later I was done, and I was busier than ever with stuff. And Bare Knuckle started picking up like crazy. Corey, all the work he was doing, I was documenting Roman Bravo Young. He's a Penn State wrestler.
Right.
I was documenting him for a good chunk of his college career, and driving back and forth from Penn State and doing stuff with Penn State. Like that was an amazing environment alone. And through Roman Bravo Young, he was friends with Dominic Cruz. So he invited me out to California with Dom, and then I ended up going back a few more times and just working with Dom, and I got close with him. He's a super smart, amazing guy, like mentor mentality with him. He is too smart for his own good, probably. Um, and and then everything's just kind of trickled from there. Like with Corey, I was shooting in Nicatones, and that's where I've met Frankie Edgar and Eddie Alvarez, a ton of great guys in regional level, and all sorts of people at Nicatones. And then I knew a lot of guys in Philly from training in South Jersey and shooting these CFC fights. So I was working with uh a lot of Daniel Gracie's guys at the time. So there was a lot of guys in the mix, like who were younger, like Sean Brady, like always around, and we knew he was like gonna fucking skyrocket. Like, so it's cool to see all these guys in different places. There's so many people I could rattle off names, like just watching them from like regional levels or shooting with them at a gym, and now they're doing something amazing. So it's really cool. Like Chris Weidman was one of the first people I've shot like and got paid money for. Um, I could definitely go on and on with that. And in Jersey, like again, Frankie Edgar, like I've gotten to work with him quite a bit. Shane Burgos, I've gotten to work with him like a lot. He's awesome. So is his brother. Um, yeah. So and then I got to be around a lot of these guys and stay with them and do cool shit. Like again, Corey, like we've gone on so many camping trips and hunting trips and fight training trips and trained out in Vegas and done just cool shit with a lot of people, man. It's pretty crazy and surreal, honestly. So
One of my favorite things about doing the interviews is becoming friends with people. But one of my least favorite things is when I have two people that I really like and they fight. You become friends with a lot of these people. What is it like watching your friends beat the shit out of each other?
yeah, it's like I'm all for it. Like fighting in general is if it's what you really want to do and you're not harming anyone else, in your life, or you're not being a shitty person and you're really doing what you want to do, love, passionate about, to so like these guys are just going out and doing their thing. I don't care
Sure.
who wins. I don't
Okay.
give a shit about that. Like I could care less, dude. And like shooting photos, like I don't care. I'm thinking a whole different space of things than who's winning the fight. Like I'm not looking at it like that. I'm observing for like what I need to do to capture like a really good image. Sometimes there's fights where you kind of cruise through and you're staring at whatever, but I'm really like honed in on what I have to do for the fight. Like Taylor, for instance, that's way harder than, friends.
Sure.
And it sucks to see, my wife get hit, obviously. So, but, you know, at the end of the day, like I give her the same treatment as the fighter she is in the organization she works for than anybody else. And like, if she's in there doing what she loves, win or lose, amazing. Like amazing. You got in there and you do something so scary and so extreme and insane. Like I have to remind her all the time, like what you're doing is extreme. Like that shit's crazy, So to put yourself into that willingly is, very respectable. And again, I who wins or loses or any of that stuff, dude. It's like that's the last thing I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about the other stuff, like, between my work and everything. And then I'm thinking about them, emotionally and them as a person and what they're going to do after this. Cause, there's guys, it's their last time in there, or, like they shouldn't be in there, or those instances. So you kind of got to like, I think more about the person. I don't really care about the fight itself, like
So when you're watching Taylor get punched in the face, you're not like, yeah, that's for leaving the cap off the aspirin or anything like that.
oh yeah, no, I should think of it that way. Might change my mindset because I get pretty like, I like shut it all off, especially when she's doing it. So
We both got to go to Dubai. I loved it. Dubai's coming again. I don't think I'm going this time, but my wife was adamant that the last time I went that I brought home chocolates. Are
oh
you?
yeah.
You did you enjoy the chocolates of Dubai? Like I said, they're phenomenal.
Yeah, so I really like that, and Taylor was getting into that when it was like popular, and then we ended up going to Dubai. They gave us like a gift basket or whatever with one in it.
Right.
I went and bought some as well. I bought like dark white milk, and I brought that home. She loved the ones I brought home, and she's been on like a conquest to like find the perfect one and order it. But I'm like, you can't order these ones; like they make them there, the ones I was
Sure.
buying, and they're really good, but she's got a big sweet tooth for them. I mean, they're good. I could live without it, but she's really adamant about the. So that's that. If I have to go back, those are also coming back in large quantity with me.
Okay, so you are part of the power couple that is Nick Vespe and Taylor Starling. You got names like Brangelina and Benifer and stuff like that. So I was trying to come up with what would be a fun name for Nick and Taylor. So like the first one is Tick, Taylor and Nick Tick.
Oh no.
No. Okay, so then I got Nailer. You got Nick and Taylor. Nailer. That's not too bad. No? Okay, so then my last one is Vespe. How about Vespe?
That's perfect. That's what we've laid into that one. Like Vespe. Yeah. Makes sense. Easy. The other ones are weird. Like you want to stay away from us.
Yeah, like Tick. Like no, but I mean like it's funny how like you I don't really want to say this, but I'll say it. I mentioned you guys would be in a power couple. And I got messages like, why didn't you mention me? And why didn't you mention me? And it's so weird. But like you guys like if I think of a face of the BKFC couples, it's either you or G.
They can have it. I don't want my face plastered. You don't. We'll have to do like a photo shoot, like G and Caitlin in like really nice clothes and like some elegant, beautiful princess land, and maybe that'll get us on like an even playing field. But I mean, we do our thing, but like when we're at BKFC, like she's working, she's doing her thing, I'm doing my thing. It's not like I guess so is G and Caitlin. So I guess I'm overthinking it, but yeah, there's a lot of people who've met through this organization, a lot, and that's cool.
You and I, we're both tough guys. I'm a Gator wrestler, and our theory is always if you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough. You're a skateboarder. Every time I see you, you're like, oh, I hurt myself, but you never seem to show it. Like when we hung out in Omaha like 2 fights ago, like your ankle was really fucked up, but you don't
Oh,
show it.
bro.
How do you do that?
Dude, that ankle was a mess, man. I still feel the repercussions of it. You just have to like deal with it. Again, like I've had multiple surgeries and they give me grief like constantly, constantly. Especially like the retorn shoulder, it's the shoulder. Um it's like constant grief and pain over this shit, and I just, you have to like shut it out. And then when I get hurt skating, I almost go into like a denial type of moment and kind of, I just deal with it and I'll run around and stuff, but like it's like I don't want to acknowledge that it's fucked up. And I'll go to like Doc Muzi like every single time. I went to him with this giant hematoma on my hip, him and his wife, and then like pulled like my pants kind of down and like showed them, and they were like, "Oh my god!" They were like, "You need to like go somewhere," and I was like, "Well, what do you think?" And like he's telling me, maybe you chipped this, and there's definitely some bone floating in there. I think you got this going on. I was like, "Well, what would they do?" And he's like, "Probably go in and pull the pieces out." And I was like, "Well, I can't do that." And he was like, "All right, there's nothing I can do." Dislocated my fingers or like fractured my hands. Like I'll show him, he'll tell me what's wrong. I'll be like, "Okay, good. At least I know." Every single time I have something, I just go to him and he's like, What now?" And he looks at me and he says, "You should stay off it for 2 weeks, or you should stay off it for 6 weeks." So I say, "That means 2 weeks. I'll do that." So but I don't like to acknowledge that it hurts. And like that night in Omaha, dude, because I skate every fight day. That's my thing.
Right.
Because it's my free morning and I go skate. And in Omaha, I was not feeling it. And I even went back recently and tried to like enjoy it, and I didn't. And I'm like scarred from it now. So I'm never gonna skate in Omaha again. But I rolled my ankle so bad. I definitely like really hurt it. And when I was sitting down on fight night, I forget the cut man's name. We don't usually have him, but I was sitting down because I sit on my foot. I kind of like pull it under me and like, and I sit on my foot. And it's the only way I can sit. I can't sit the other way because like the way my knee is and everything. So I'm sitting that way. And the cut man, he was getting up between rounds and he stopped and he looked at me and he was like, "You good?" And like he got in and started doing his stuff, and then after the fight he was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You had tears coming out of your eyes." I was like, "Dude, I am hurting bad." Like, and he offered to go get me like ice and wrap it up and stuff, and I was like, "I don't have time for that, dude." Like,
Right.
so it's just like the amount of times I've asked for help from G fixing me up with stuff when I got hit with the camera in the face and busted this, like all sorts of stuff, man. Luckily, I'm in a good environment to where my skate injuries can be treated like fight injuries in a way, So
You're taking fights, you're watching the action, you're taking photos, not fights. Anyway, how do you get the photos to Evan so they can get loaded? So, I mean, is there like, I don't understand it. Like technology, like is it Bluetooth and you send the photos and someone picks them out? Like how do you know like, and how do you know like I got the perfect shot? This needs to be out there right away.
So this is why you have like somebody like me or Phil or Lee in this, because we're able to do this so quickly. We don't have, UFC has a wire running from their cameras down the side of the octagon to a computer where somebody's sitting and picking them out and editing them and doing it all, and then the photographer, all they're doing is shooting.
Right.
You know, we shoot the photos, so this is how I do it. I'll walkout photo. Walkout's happening. I'll shoot the walkout, shoot the next fighter walkout. Before the fight, or while the fight's getting like, all the words and getting announced, I put my whatever card, my CF card into the computer, and I pick those walkouts and edited, submitted, and I'm up on the ring before Jeff's announcing both names. So then while Jeff's doing that, I take a few more and round one starts. Okay, let's say round one's over. In between rounds, I have 1 minute. And you'll see me always look back down into my camera and I'm circling through and I'm finding the images like I knew in my head that were good ones. Like I remember there's a big connection. I remember there was a big flurry. Like I go back and I star them in my camera. Then, okay, next round, whatever, I do the same thing, fight's over. Go down, I'll get the hand raise shot, star that, and go to my computer, plug it in. I have a software that only uploads the starred images. So it doesn't deal with all other bullshit. It only brings in. So I just shot 15 good photos out of that fight. I'll get those 15, edit them, drag them over, submit them into Dropbox and like the media outlets and stuff, and Evan pulls from like our main Dropbox basically. So
How many photos do you take in like a night? Is there like an average? Can you tell us?
yeah, a lot are sequences, and it's crazy. Like I used to just like when I was doing this in MMA, for instance, like MMA fights are a lot longer than BKFC fights.
Sure.
And I was shooting about 7,000 photos during like an MMA fight, and maybe 250 are good, you
Okay.
know? And then I would do, like when I came to BKFC, I was shooting a little less, like around 6,000, 5,000. And now I'm at the point where I shoot about like 3,500. Like I just know what to shoot now and when to shoot, and I don't really waste. I know when what is needed of me and where I can even shoot from. Like there's a lot of angles I would try to always get, but when they're on the far side of the cage or they're like tucked in a pad, I just can't shoot them. There's no point to just waste and try. So like I know really what I'm looking for at that point. If it's a big event like something like Philadelphia, I'm shooting everything I can, like
Sure.
when we just were in Philly, like I'm shooting every arena angle I can. I'm shooting stuff on the seats, fans, walking through to the merch store, like everything. So, it really varies. So, but like fight night in Edmonton, that was, you know, about 3,000 photos, just easy event. So,
Would you love to do like? I mean, you love BKFC, but like, would the Super Bowl be something you'd really like to do? Is there any like famous sporting event that you're like, man, if I could take a photo of that?
no, I don't care about sports at all.
Okay.
Like zero.
Not like
I
X
could.
Games
I
or
don't.
anything, or
No, I can't. I can't do that. She's telling me to reveal something, but I can't. Never mind.
okay,
So I don't deal with sports. Like I don't. I couldn't name an NFL player. I couldn't name an NBA. Does LeBron James still play? I don't know. Like
sure,
yeah,
yeah,
So I don't know anything about anything. Um, I wouldn't really want to shoot them. I've had a lot of offers to shoot stuff like that, and I've said no. I mean, I just don't. I really don't care. Like, it brings me zero interest. And even combat sports at this point, like, I've probably shot two MMA fights since I was with BKFC. I think one was a Bellator, and one was a regional Philly one. I can't remember what the organization was. It was for a friend though, just to shoot his fight. But oh, and then I shot Dominic Cruz at UFC. I shot his fight at UFC, but that doesn't it just doesn't do it. I have an attachment to the Dominic Cruz fighting.
sure.
I have an attachment to my friend Turple fighting. I have an attachment, to that. And then I shot a boxing match to a friend again. But like when I shot Bellator, for instance, there was nothing, bro. There was nothing. Like it was nothing about it. Like I enjoyed. And there's quite a few reasons for that, but it just didn't bring me any interest. So even if there's like other sports, I really don't think I really want to do them. There's stuff I'll do occasionally, again, like a random MMA fight or something, and whatever, just side money, side jobs, everything like that. But nothing I could really point a finger at. I've always wanted to shoot like horse racing,
Okay,
like Kentucky Derby. Like I would love to shoot a Kentucky Derby, one for like the environment and two for the actual like sport itself. Like I think I could do something really unique with that. I did like shooting, collegiate wrestling when Roman was wrestling, but like in terms of other people wrestling, I don't care. I had recently, no, I guess I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, like I was in a room with like Jordan Burroughs, and like I was just like, yeah, he's cool and
did he
like,
sweat
he's
on you?
amazing. What?
Did he sweat on you? That dude's like super sweaty, isn't he?
Oh yeah, no, he was glistening. Yeah. Um yeah, so no real other sport would do it for me, I don't think. Like I don't know, I've never tried, but I don't
Sure.
really want to try. I like shooting skateboarding, but I separate that from sports, like it is a sport, it is an activity, but it's not an organized official sporting event. Like You know, I wouldn't go to X Games and go shoot skateboarding photos. That would bring me no interest. I like shooting them, you know, street photos or, you know, with my homies. Like, so. uh,
I always reach out to people who know you. I reached out to Phil and I reached out to Tony Soto, and they both said, ask him about skateboarding. What is it about skateboarding that you just love so much? You just can't like, when are you going to grow up and outgrow it? No, but I mean, like, really, you love it. Like, you love it. And there's like, I feel like that's going to be something you'll do until you can't skateboard anymore.
yeah, that's the decision I've made now at this point. So so taking a lot of time off of skateboarding is what brought me, you know, and then finding it again really did change my life like entirely because it changed my life. It's the only reason I picked up a camera was because of skateboarding. My friend Billy, he was the first person I ever shot a photo of, but he used to always shoot film photography and amazing skateboarding photos. And I looked up to this kid a lot in terms of his skating and his photography. But he was so good at skateboarding and nobody was shooting photos of him. He was always sitting down doing the photos. And I'm like, bro, like you are too good for this. Like he was really good. So I ended up getting a camera. Like I asked him what cameras he, you know, thought were cool, whatever. And it's just like a 35 millimeter camera. And doing that and getting, you know, shooting him, and then that led to other guys who were like, you know, coming up or making video parts or sponsored or just friends, you know, that really led into that. And then right at the end there, I was mainly shooting photos and I wasn't skating a lot. And then I ended up, you know, getting out of high school, getting jobs, and then I got injured. And then I'd heal up, get injured again. Then I heal up, get injured again. So I had 3 back-to-back really long recoveries and injuries, and they were again all back to back. Like it was terrible. And I'm trying to think why. Okay, so I moved in New Jersey. I moved a little more south to a town called Pennsauken, and there was a skate park there when I was a kid, and I always skated it. And I was like, you know what? I wonder if it's still there. So I just drove around the corner. I lived a mile from it, and it was there but way bigger. They expanded it, made it all concrete and beautiful, none of that prefab stuff. And I couldn't believe it was a mile from where I was living. I was like, no way this is here. And they redid this. Like, this is a beautiful park. And that night, I went back and I ordered a skateboard, like everything I need, like trucks, skateboards, some new skate shoes, like everything. And I got back into that. It's 3 years now. So I took, you know, about 10 years off a board and got back into it pretty late. I was, you know, 27. I'm 30 now. And getting back into it with a man's body instead of a boy's Gumby body, like, bro, it was so hard. Just taking like spills. Like I had to go through that eating shit process to get good again. Like,
Right.
you know, it just happens. You have everybody has to go through it. At one point you're just gonna have like where you just have to go for it, you know, you have to commit. And I was getting fucked up like really easily, regularly. And then I got over that. I almost stopped again. I was like, maybe this isn't for me. And then I met a group of people, like guys I knew when I was younger and some newer guys, and I met them at the park and they really encouraged me. And now those are like the tightest homies, and the skate shop that's affiliated with the park and all my friends, like I ride for them and I shoot their photos for them, and like they do a lot of cool stuff. We've gone on trips to like Miami. I've had them come to Charlotte. We've filmed a bunch of skateboarding. So it was really about, you know, I wanted to do it for myself, but once I got the community like integration with everything, that's where like the love for it just came back so much because they really pushed me, like all those guys. And ironically, like, you know, the mayor of my town in Pennsauken, he skateboards. His
Oh
name's
wow.
Marco, and he's the one who got the park, you know, built and redone. And he's constantly like upgrading it and doing all sorts of great stuff for the community. And that's just like, again, it was like the community presence of it all like brought it together, because I was doing it by myself. Like I'd go at like 6 a.m. in the morning and skate till like 10 a.m., and that was my window of like skating. And there wasn't a soul at the park at that time, so I wasn't meeting anybody. And like I really felt discouraged because I was slamming and felt so stupid, and I was like, what the hell am I even doing? And now skating, you know, 3 years since then, I'm better than I ever have been. And even guys I used to skate with when I was younger, they're like, what the hell? Like, you got good, like, so it's fun. And a lot of the times I'm doing photos for skating, or my buddies are always filming like video parts. Like, we just in March made like a 6-minute long skate video in Charlotte. Last year we did a video and we filmed all street stuff in Philadelphia, New Jersey, and Miami. And it's just cool to like have like a goal and work towards it. And then it's a lot of these fighters and stuff, they're like, you're crazy, why do you do this? Like, I'm like, you do the same exact thing. Like, I'm willingly hurting my, like, knowing I can get hurt, but it's just me versus like the ground or an object, whereas they know somebody else is going to hurt them,
Sure.
so it's the same thing. And it's something that's about like repetitions and perfection. And like, once I get invested in something, like, I have to be good at like that specific thing. So I know a lot about a lot of stuff. Like, I can work on cars really well, I can do photography really well, like skateboarding I'm pretty good at. But like, that's it's literally just my body's limitations at this point. Now that I have like an adult brain, I can understand why the things are doing what it's doing, because it is all physics. Like, when you break it down, what's actually happening to the skateboard, like why it's flipping, why do certain things work. It's like, when you look at it all and look at the mechanics of it, it is simple. It's just getting your body to do those things and committing, because it is scary. You miss, you get hurt. So, but there is something to that. Like, you know, I was just at the park for 2 days and trying. So I'm doing a 180 with my body. My board's flipping. I'm landing in a manual, which is like a wheelie,
Okay.
and then doing a 180 out of that. And I tried it. I mean, had to have been 500 times and didn't get it. So like, tomorrow I'm going to go sit there and do it and kill myself till I get it. And this is skating from 9:30 a.m. till 1:30 p.m. Just constant, like, and I love that. Like, I just get like manic like that, and I have to do it over and over and over. And I'll watch it. Like, I'll record stuff and I'll watch it and I'll be like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Like, until I get it right. And getting it right is just the best feeling. Like, whether it takes one try or 1,000 tries, it's like the best feeling. And then it's on lock. Like, once you get it, you can just do it. you
Right.
know it just happens after that. Like, there's tricks I battled hundreds and hundreds of times, and once I do it, I can do it every try. So it's like, it's just making your mind overcome it, and then your body just has to work. So,
You've worked so many events. Do you have a favorite location, like a favorite arena you like, or anything like that?
can I give you a least favorite first?
Let's go least favorite.
uh, okay, no, I'm gonna save my breath. Never mind. Let's stay out of that.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go. I have a few least favorites, but we'll stay out of that.
But
We'll
least
we'll be
favorite
positive.
because like they're difficult, or like why would they be least, without naming them? Like, why would they be least favorite?
Certain settings, in terms of like, there is a much different atmosphere in a theater than in arena,
Sure.
for instance. So that's where, like, there's certain venues that could be designed so well for it and work well, and then there's other ones that just aren't it. And that's just how it's going to be. But there's some that we go back to like a few times, and it just never has like the punch on, like that oomph that you
Sure.
want. You know, so I really liked the I forget what the name of it was at the end there. The Denver Arena. What was it? The First Bank.
Yeah. First big arena. Yeah.
I like that place a lot.
Sure.
I like Tingley a lot. Um, those are places like I could navigate without thinking about it. So I could get off the ring, go haul ass through the crowd, get crowd shots, get, the venue with everybody in it, go roam around, get to the locker rooms, get back to my spot and be like flawless. Then there's other places I'll go to and like, dude, you get lost in like these like hallways. There's people who won't let you up the elevators, like all sorts of stuff. So there's been times like I've been trapped in a freight elevator, like waiting to get down and just going so slow. And I hear the walk out. I'm like, no.
Right.
So there's stuff like that that plays into it, but like I really like Tingley because of Albuquerque. I love Albuquerque, and thanks to Taylor, I love it even more because she knows all the ins and outs. But Tingley is just a cool spot, and I like shooting in there. I think it always looks nice. You know, always a great crowd. Always like Albuquerque's great in general. Um, that first bank, there was a lot of good fights in there that we've had, a lot of
Sure.
memorable ones and memorable moments. But like, I thought it looked good. Like, just taking photos of the crowd, like it just looked good. And then I can't remember the name of it. I think I was in Monroe, and it was like it almost had like a ball cupcake type of shape to it, like this little arena. It was like very like circular inside, like all the seat, and then the ring was like kind of down. It was like such a unique shape to it, but shooting in there, like I really enjoyed that. And then Sturgis is awesome too, but it's not awesome when the sun's out. It's terrible for all of us using a camera, TV guys, me, video, any like it's horrible with that, So it looks amazing when all the lights are down. Like it's beautiful when sun goes down and everything's bright. It's really nice, but I was sweating my ass off there too. So but it's a different environment, so it's cool.
Okay, so Taylor sent in a couple questions. She wants you like to explain why you enjoy being the little spoon.
What am I supposed to say? It's
You
comforting.
just like to be held. Yeah, I mean, she's got she's long, so she can at least it'd be one thing if
Well,
you're a tall guy, so I mean, it's good.
thing is, like, I can, dude, like, when we fall asleep, I could fall asleep in any single scenario. Like, I could lay down on the floor and in like 5 minutes, I'd be out cold. Like, so when I crawl up in bed with her, I get warm, cozy. I use her, like, I always, like, my shoulder. I used to sleep with a pillow. Like, I used to have a square shaped pillow for my shoulder to hold it over. And now I have her. So she's perfect. I just do this, and every night that's like typically the move. But I, I'm not typically a little spoon. I usually just smother her with like my entire body.
All right. She also said, "Did you get dirt in your eyes at Sturgis because there's rumors that you were crying a little bit during her fight?"
Oh, I shed a little tear. It sucks to see, this is what got me when she got hit and turned her. This is how it goes every fight with her, by the way. It's like the first round, dude, like always. And she'll go out, get hit square in the nose, and then turn around and then just blood trickling down from her nose. And I'm like, but that's what makes it feel real every time,
Sure.
you know. Like once she's in there, I get her name announced and everything. But then when I see her get hit and she turns around and she'll look at me when she's walking back to her corner or like just look off, and I'm like, fuck. Like I'm like, okay, this is real, So that gets me. And more importantly, like I just want her to believe in herself and have a good time and really want to be there and soak up that moment because like there's again, when I shoot these fighters, like I know there is going to be a last time, there's going to be a last punch, there is going to be, all those moments, and it's like I have to do such a good job at like capturing this because like that could be the last fight, that could be the moment, that could be, you know, you never know. So like I think about it like a lot, like and I overthink it with her. I'm like I have to do even like an extra good job, like you know, so.
Okay, so Evan didn't send in a question, but he sent a photo of you just like zonked out on the airplane. But I guess that plays back
Oh,
to
with the
you said you
beanie over my head,
with
like
the beat. Yep, like that one. Yeah, he goes. Have him explain this photo, but you just, I mean, that was the look.
uh, Uh, that's how I sleep on every single plane ever. So I pack a beanie in my backpack in the front zipper, always have since I started traveling. And I mean, there's multiple people who have photos of me like this. Like Roman has pictures of me like this. Corey has pictures of me like everybody has pictures of me like zonked out like that. And I put it over my face and I pull the next part over my eyes and try to get my nose. And dude, I'm out like that. And he's one to speak because I got some photos of his ass snoring. He snores with his mouth wide open. I had to stay in a room with him, and dude, all night it's just like he's a snorer. He's a snorer. So, but I don't defile him on planes by taking photos of him. Yeah, yeah, we got. I think we got bumped up to first class together, and we're sitting next to each other, and he snapped that one at me. Yeah.
My last question I always ask people the first time they're on: do you remember the first time you were in a street fight? Have you ever been in a street fight? You were a skater kid. Did you get in some fights when you were younger?
Not like anything like substantial. I mean, I'm pretty like
Yeah.
there's no, if something has to get to that point, I'm usually about reasoning with it. There's been like heated shit, but nothing like where I've had to like, you know, beat the fuck out of nobody or have them like I've never been beat up, you know. Besides in like when I was training hard and stuff, like there was some bigger guys who would I was like the in between size. I was like just tall enough to be with all the big guys and then like skinny enough to go with the small guys. So I'd get my ass beat like that. But no, never anything like substantial. Just yeah, like you said, skate shit, like dumb shit, kid shit.
You're around all these fighters. You photo a lot of fighters. You're always learning. Do you feel like you could transition and be a fighter? Because like I mean, you clearly do all the training and you go to that. Could you become a fighter?
uh I wouldn't want to. I think physically and like mentally I could, you know. Um that was the goal when I was doing all the jujitsu and everything. Like I really wanted to like I started doing striking, like I got really interested in like MMA and I told myself if I were to get one more gold in jujitsu and I was doing submission onlys, if I was to get one more gold, then I would try to do MMA, like an amateur MMA. And that was the one that just tore my shoulder apart. Like this kid just eviscerated my shoulder. That's a crazy story too. By the way, this kid, it's submission only.
Okay.
Gets me in an arm bar. I'm on my back. I go to turn into his crotch to get out of it instead of
Sure.
you don't pull away. When I turned in, he sat on my other arm as well, and I couldn't move. And he had my arm up like this with both hands here. This arm is under here, and his legs are both over me now. And he took my arm, and he couldn't get the arm bar, so he just started like cranking like Americana, and he just started going and going. And dude, it just like immediately I'm face down in the mat, both hands are trapped. So
Because
I start like kind of like flailing my body and I'm like, yo, yo, yo. And he's just cranking like pop, 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 pop.
ugh,
And the ref sees me flailing like a fucking fish and comes over and he's like, what's going on? What's going on? I'm like, bro, like he just destroyed my arm, man. Like, what the hell? And I'm looking at the kid like, what are you doing? And the kid is sign languaging to his coach and his parents. He was deaf, so he
sure.
didn't hear me say stop, yo, 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 stop. Like, and the ref was standing, 10 feet away and not listening. And I'm just flailing like a fish with my arm trapped, and he blew out my shoulder, and like it's my shoulder's useless now. But um, so that was like the end of wanting to do anything remotely with that. And I thought really I wanted to do MMA. Like I liked kicking a lot. I liked striking. I liked using elbows and knees. Like I thought I could be really good at it. And then I took all that time away. And then being with Taylor, like I started working with her coach, Duke, and John Bernard as well, with just like mitts and stuff. And it's really fun. Like I like boxing and like I know I could do okay with that if I wanted to. I would need a lot of training if I were to ever, do a fight. Like, but I always I was always saying to her, like while I was 30, I wanted to do like an amateur boxing match. Like
Okay.
just like a or a smoker and just
Sure.
go, and just get it out. And it's still like on the table, kind of. But I would never want to fight in terms of like money or fame or like if I did this, nobody would know about it.
Okay.
So that's how I would go about like nobody she would, that's it. And I'd call that. So, but I don't know if I'd ever actually want to be a fighter. I've seen it from all angles now, man. Like every angle you can have on being a fighter besides being one. Like and seeing the fight, all the outside stuff, all the before, all the after, all the during. I've seen it in every way, and now the most intimate of ways, like being married to a fighter. So there's not a chance in hell, bro. Like seeing the difficulties that requires. Even like instance, I love skateboarding. I would never want to be a pro skateboarder. Like
Okay.
even if I had the level, the talent to be a pro skateboarder, I would not want to use my body in that way to make money. I've seen what it does to people, and then I see what happens when like it's your only identity as well, you know, being so caught up in that. That's like this photo, taking photos and combat photos and stuff. I love what I do, but like if this is over and then the NFL is like, hey, come to NFL and shoot photos, I'm going to say, no, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to have like a finite span on whatever this is and enjoy this moment as it is. And then also do other things. Like, I like getting good at other things. Like, I haven't just sat down and done one thing. So, like, there's going to be more stuff I'm going to try, but fighting, again, maybe a one time like amateur fight, like, I think would be it. And that's, like it's fun, it's enjoyable, and I know I could do okay, and it's like I'm not scared of it. Like that's jumping off shit skating is way scarier than that, in my opinion. But
We've been going almost an hour. I could easily talk. There's so many, like when you talked about your arm, like I have a very similar story, but like I also feel like we need to talk again. And like I don't want to keep stretching this out, but this is the reason why I wanted you on the show. Like I said, you have so many interesting things, and like you would never know to just see the little furry face guy taking photos, but you are such an interesting person. I feel like the fans are definitely going to want to hear more.
mm, this might be all you get out of me.
Oh no. Well, I'll make Taylor make you.
This is, dude. I hate talking, man.
I know,
I
but you're
hate
doing a great
talking. Like,
job.
dude, I hate talking. So you're lucky.
Well, I will include links to your Instagram and stuff like that. But do you have any message for the fans? Anything you want to get out there before we call it a night?
Your fans?
No, your fans. I mean, BKFC fans, my fans, your fans, any Taylor's fans, any fans.
Mm. Well, I don't know what to say, man. I am a fly on the wall. If you enjoy my photography, that's awesome. I appreciate all the kind words like everybody gives me between the fighters and fans and stuff. Like a lot of people respect my work, and that's amazing. Like I'm glad people can enjoy it, but like I can't be at that position without like the people who put me there and the team I have who allow me to like be creative and do all those things. Like it's important, and now that I'm so far into it as well, all the travel, all the time away from home, all that stuff, like it's really adding up, especially now that like my life's good and this isn't like an escape. This is like, it's hard to balance all the things. So, a lot of appreciation towards my wife who supports me to do it and everything. And like, but, everybody being a fan of my work and, nobody's got bad shit to say, and that's awesome. But we really try hard at like everything we do at Bare Knuckle, like especially again my media team, and Taylor's part of the content team too. Technically, we really care about what we're doing. So like to see it pay off and to see people get engaged in all sorts of ways, like that's everything too. And then to make the fighters feel like $1,000,000 when I take their photo, like that's priceless, man. Like being able to make them feel like a superstar in their moment. These are people who come from regional MMA or who knows, or street fights, and they've never seen themselves like that, and like they tell me all the time, like, these are amazing. I've never seen myself like this. Like that's everything when I can like make someone's day. So
I think a fun thing for an upcoming Knucklemania would be to do an exhibit with all like you and Phil and Lee and all your photos, and like blow up some of your like really big photos, because you guys have taken some such iconic photos. And like I said, I feel like you guys need to get a little bit more recognition. I think it'd be a fun way to do it.
yeah, that could be cool, man. I mean, we've definitely tried to think of some ways to like push it at a different angle and showcase photos, but at the end of the day, like it is content for BKFC to document their events, and like it this stuff lives on for a long time,
Yeah.
as but as the fighters transition out, we won't see those old ones as much. And like, some stuff does, keeps turning over. But to see, BKFC using everything and like proudly, like we have a great graphic designer, Jeremy, and he like really tries to push like what we can use with our photos, or like, if he says like something, I'll try to see it and like get that idea out, or on the media days, really push stuff. Um, but it would be cool, to showcase everything. And the video guys really don't get any credit at all. They make everything and people just consume it. And,
Sure.
they don't sit back and realize these guys are like filming this stuff in like some crazy ways. Like that, like some of the, the way Evan started this with his slow-mo angle, it's really beautiful. Like the way he filmed it and got it like set for Brandon to do as well. Um, but he started like a style almost. And my photos kind of follow suit with that. Phil's do as well. The way James films, like we all have like our own style, and we've all put it together. Like it's pretty meshed, like seamlessly. Even Lee from the UK, like, we shot our first event when we first went to London together, and his style like blended with mine like perfect. So our whole team, we have like a style, like we have like a fit of it, and it's really cool that like we've all able to have done that with each other without having to say a word about it. We just know like this is the way this has to be shown. And like I don't think they get enough credit on their side either. So Phil amazing, Lee amazing, but so is James, Brandon, Evan, Justin, and then we have editors as well who do a great job. So like everybody's got like their angle, but it all fits. And like that's rare, dude. That's you can't like make that. You can't like train that. It's either you adapt and understand, or like you're not a fit here. So
Well, I've begged Brandon to come on the show, and he says no, he doesn't do interviews. But I'm trying.
nah, he'd be funny. Brandon would
Yeah,
be great. Brandon's great.
he's got some good stories, So yeah, like I said, it's weird because like I go like, hey, look, we're friends, like we talk at events and stuff like that. It's gonna literally be the exact same thing. It's not anything scary, but who knows? Maybe it'll happen.
Yeah, they don't do well with the. I'm in the spotlight a little more than the video guys. They really lay low, because I
Sure.
have to engage with the fighters. I have to talk to every single fighter, basically. They don't have to talk to anybody unless they have to film an interview. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Like, probably one of my longest interviews, but like I said, we could easily keep going, but I can't keep going. We're gonna have to do this again. I appreciate your time so much.
Sir, you got a lot out of me. That was enough.
All right, man. Have a great night. Thank you.
Yeah, see you, dude.